Test. All right. Looks like we have sound. Wunderbar. Give everyone a few couple minutes to get in here. While we're doing that, let me add the form. Questions. And, check. All right. There we go. Sweet. Form is in the description now. My website's in the description. The sound works. Chatting works. People are coming. We are good to go. Welcome everyone to SEO This Week, episode number 76. Thank you all for joining me. Hope you had a great Mother's Day weekend. I don't know what you all did. I know what I did. And did a lot of yard work. So got the pool ready for the summer and jumped in yesterday for my first swim of the year. It was awesome. Then got all the weeding done, got some irrigation fixed, did some weed eating myself, and then my wife did the mowing the lawn in the front. She likes using that riding lawnmower, so she did that. And is getting into the upper 90s here. 96, 97 is kind of the average right now. I think we'll be sitting at that for a good week or so, maybe 2 weeks before the hot gets turned on, which is good. It gives me time to get the shade stuff up over the tomatoes and the peppers, so those don't get fried during the summer. And I got what, 2 more rows of trees I have to clean up, and then cleaning up leaves, and then that's done, and we'll be in maintenance mode until the summer's over and it's not balls hot here. So it is the life of living in Arizona, as it were. So let's talk about some SEO stuff. As a matter of fact, rather than me just rambling on, we're going to get straight into the questions. So I'm going to bring up the form. If you guys have any questions you want to ask when you're live, as always, you have the live chat that's available to you. Otherwise, use the form. All right, so here we go. What are your thoughts on Page Optimizer Pro? Have you used it before? So what were your test results? So Page Optimizer Pro, I was around and in company with Kyle Roof when Page Optimizer Pro was born. It was born out of some data pulled from the Quora reports. And then he essentially took what the data that Quora was giving him, put it in spreadsheets into Google Sheets, and um, used it in his SEO campaign and his SEO philosophies. And then ultimately from that, Page Optimizer Pro was born. And in my opinion, at the time when I was using it, Page Optimizer Pro was essentially your basic on-page optimization. It was, you need to do these minimums to rank, and Page Optimizer Pro is great at giving you those minimums. Not in minimum, oh, you need the minimum of these factors, but these are the minimum collection of things that you should be doing to rank for your website. They have since transitioned probably more from when I was last subscribed to their content writer, to AI writing, and that kind of stuff. They've migrated away from being a focused SEO tool. Again, in my opinion, from the last time I was subscribed, to a content editor, article writer type of thing. And that's a pivot that, frankly, the industry makes people do. They're not doing it because on page is no longer valuable. It's because people or all goo goo gaga over AI stuff, and so they have to pivot where the market tells you to pivot. And so they went into, in my opinion, a lot more focus on to AI and content creation and that kind of thing than the on-page tool. All of that being said, I liked Page Optimizer Pro. I just didn't use it very much. So I canceled my subscription to it. It's not anything bad or good. I just didn't use it. So if I wasn't using it, it's one of those things, right? You gotta, you know, shut off what you're paying for that you're not using, and double down on the stuff that you are paying for that you are using. So I wasn't using Page Optimizer Pro. If they did some changes to it, like for example, Page Optimizer Pro and Cora Lite have very much in common. However, Cora Lite will output an HTML document that I can actually use for link building on top of the on-page suggestions. Page Optimizer Pro doesn't have an export for link building. They do have an export for Excel, which you could, in theory, upload to Sheets and build links on Google Sheets if you wanted to. But they don't have the HTML thing, and I can use the HTML thing, or I'm more likely to use the HTML thing than I would the Google Sheets thing. So if Page Optimizer Pro made a few exports that were in HTML, I would probably most certainly turn on my subscription again. I like the service. I like the people behind it. Kyle's a great guy. My son, Dade, he's the support dude, and he's actually does all the training on Page Optimizer Pro. As far as I understand, he's doing the courses for Page Optimizer Pro. So again, good tool. If it's in your tool chest and you are going to actually use it, then why not turn it on and try it out? I think it's better in regards to on page than Surfer for sure. Let's see. I have a website that's built on WordPress and using Elementor to add the header and footer menu. Was checking internal links on a specific page. This is when I realized the menu showing internal link anchors over and over in all the pages throughout the site. That's what a header and footer does. Does this affect ranking? I don't get it. Should I remove or fix the menu so the header and footer anchor links are not showing on every page? So it's the header and footer. Header and footers are typically site-wide unless you create a header and footer for each page. You can do it typically the way 99.9% of the internet is built is anything that's in the header and footer, the anchor text are going to show across the entire website. So that's normal. So I sound shocked here because it's Vinay, and Vinay is a really smart dude, and he's asking me a question that makes me want to bitch slap him. Like, are you stupid right now? So hope you understand. I'm kind of flabbergasted at this moment. Like, seriously, dude, are you really asking this question? But on the flip side of that, there are people new to the space, and they hear the word internal anchors, and they wonder, if I put all my pages in my menus and my headers and my footers, and does that count as internal linking? It does and it doesn't. So if you remember of SIA, we've tested header links, we've tested footer links, we've tested sidebar links, we've tested in-content links. In-content links for your internal linking is the best option for you, where you get the most bang for your buck. Headers and footer links are standard across every website across the internet, unless, of course, you just remove the header and the footer sections of your websites, and you just have single pages on each site, which is a way. It just kind of makes navigation really sucky. So the term there is navigation. Headers and footers are typically, especially in builders like in Elementor, are wrapped in nav tags. So those are handled differently by Google. It's kind of we know this is here. We know that every web page has nav, so are we valuing them as much as we are in the content links? And I can tell you unequivocally that they don't value those links as much as the nav links. They're not hurting your silos or anything like that. They're just navigation links. So now you take another approach. You do something like Terry Samuels teaches when he's doing presentations or in his on-page course, is to segment the website with the headers and footers. So in his agency site, for example, headers on his SEO section of his website are different than the headers in his web design section of the website. So if you land on his website under the web design template, everything you see in the nav is going to be web design. If you land on his website in an SEO section, everything you see in the nav is SEO related. It's just a way to do it. It's not right or wrong. It's just a way to do it. And it keeps the visitor on, in my opinion, it keeps the visitor on target. So if I'm looking for web design and all I see is web design, then this guy must be good about web design. So I don't know his conversions, but I assume that they're pretty good. When someone who has an interest in that lands there versus someone who comes over to Digital Ear, for example, and you see web design, SEO, and PPC management all addressed on that single page. So maybe a visitor that lands on my website will get there from web design and then look at it and go, oh yeah, SEO and PPC, I take care of those at the same all in one bird. So again, it's just approaches. So you got to decide, Vinay, if you want to use which approach you want to use. This is from Tommy. What are the pros and cons when it comes to choosing between one domain for all countries or many domains for each country? Um, the pro for one domain for each country is that Google will show country TLDs more likely for searches in those country TLD Google versions, right? The con is, let's say you have 10 of those. Now you have to promote 10 websites, not one website. And that could be for some people, that could be, cost prohibitive. Like you got to build, let's say 100 links. You're going to pay $200 for each link times 10 sites. That's a lot of fucking money. So you have to consider those two things. And really, in regards to the country TLDs, you look at your search results. It's e-commerce, so if you're selling scented candles in France and you Google scented candles in Google France, and you see a whole bunch of .coms, then you're okay. Then get a .com. If you see nothing but TLDs, then country focused TLDs, then you're going to need country focused TLD to compete. Hope that helps. Can you explain how to do image backlinking using Scrapebox and SEMrush's backlink analytics or other tools? How do you find images on sites that one can leave comments on and then link to pages on your site that is relevant? I've heard this can be done. That's not at all. Everything you just described there, Jeffrey, is not image backlinking. Image backlinking is taking your images, and using the hot link, the URL for your image, and then using that on other websites. That's image backlinking. Scrapebox and SEMrush's backlink analytics tool or whatever, none of those do image backlinking. And quite frankly, if you do image backlinking, you have to be smart about it because you can get uh, yourself in a lot of trouble with image backlinks these days. You can leave comments. You can do comment backlinking with Scrapebox, and that's fairly straightforward. I don't know very many people still doing comment backlinks with Scrapebox, but it can be done. And then yeah, so you have to define what image backlinking is and understand that first properly, and then you figuring out and building backlinks with your images is actually pretty easy. The best tool to use for image backlinking, in my opinion, is Pinterest. So take your images that are on your website, pin them in boards in Pinterest that are related, and now you've done image backlinking. Why do you think the concept of SEO is so attractive to a lot of people? Because you make a lot of money, Becker. you can you can make a lot of money as a website owner, as an affiliate, as a publisher, as a service provider. There's tons of money available to if you know and understand how to truly do repetitive, effective SEO. It's just why does anyone do anything? Make a lot of money, get a lot of attention, you build a lot of social validation. It's the same for PPC, it's the same for web design, it's the same for all forms of marketing. If you focus on those and get good at that at a set of marketing, then it could become attractive to a lot of people, especially if it's a lucrative. Hopefully that answers that question. Let's see. We got any more? No more in the form. Yay. What do we got here? There you go. There's Vinay. There's Dan. I used Pop to rank a Lorem Ipsum page just 2 weeks ago. Still works fine. Yep. Good for you, Dan. Vinay, good morning. Good morning. There you go. All right. Let's see if there are any questions in the Zoom. Nope. All right. Quick week. 13-minute show. Sweet. Great having you guys. Um, let's see. Oh, I did want to point out if you guys are doing the Parasite SEO stuff, there's um, some info running around the Twitter sphere that Google is reversing a lot of the manual penalties that they put in place on some of those sites, the Parasite sites. So if you were using those before and then for whatever reason all of them disappeared, more likely a manual penalty, go back and check and see if they're all back. What Google is, what I suspected all along is that Google can't remove those algorithmically. And so they were going through manually and hitting one by one. And then once they started nailing people, the publishers went up in arms and then they realized, oh shit, whatever our standard was for that is not working. And so a lot of those manual penalties are getting reversed. And frankly, all the companies, the big companies that were violating that, were exceptionally probably like, hey, we're going to sue your asses if you continue this. This is just a theory, but I mean, if I ran Forbes, for example, and Google said, oh, you can't sell pages on your website and we'll remove you from the services, then lawyers would be involved very quickly. And then my guess is Google just doesn't want that fight. So again, like always, they'll probably just go after the um permanently the guest post sellers, and those little mom and pops like me and Chip and Vinay and Dan, who have our own little tiny network of sites or publishing our own little sites, and those guys will get permanently banned. But the overall effect for this whole parasite fix that they professed for the longest time that they were going to launch is going to be a nothing burger, in my opinion. Um, Travis, for attorneys, how do you feel about legal services versus service schema on an internal page? If it is a service page and you have a schema for a legal service, then you should always default to the most direct way to tell Google what the page is about. Why leave if they have legal service and Google knows and recognizes the legal service as a valid schema, which they probably do, then you should use legal service, not just the general service schema. You want to be specific about what that page is about. And legal service is more specific than in the general service. Hopefully that helps. Um, let's see. All righty. I don't see any more questions. Refresh the form. Oh, I closed the form. There's Dan. What do you think about this alleged update? Yeah, I got it. I already got that one. Beach to it, Dan. Uh, yeah, honestly, if you think about it objectively, that Google has to identify these websites using an algorithm, and that website has to go and use math and look at a page or a section of a website or a site in its entirely and somehow determine mathematically that Stefan is selling pages on his website for the purposes of SEO, taking advantage of SEO or authority. What is it? Authority, abuse of authority. And common sense tells me that short of Stefan putting on his section of his website, all these pages are purchased by independent writers for the purposes of abusing authority. I mean, shorter than doing that, how are you mathematically going to prove that that's exactly what's going on? The other argument could be, well, what if you write outside of your niche and you're not also, if you're a business website and you start writing about, I don't know, some form of a weight loss supplement that you are, that is proof that you're abusing your authority. Wherein, you have plenty of business websites, Forbes, Business Insiders, et cetera, that have casino posts, weight loss posts, drug posts, all kinds of stuff on the side of their website. And so you have all of these people doing it, and then you have the other side of the spear of people saying niche websites are dead. Don't focus on one niche anymore. It's bad, and your sites are dead. So you can't be right in both circumstances. Uh, and again, Google will have to do it with math. So what is left? Well, what is left is manual penalties. And the only way Google is going to definitively, without a doubt, prove that someone is abusing their authority and selling essentially SERP space based off of their authority is for morons or jackalopes, or I'd rather be internet rich than real world, internet popular than real world rich people who would go out, find and collect the list of these websites that sell and then give that list away to people or put it in part of their course. Um, which is where Charles Float got in a whole bunch of trouble after he did his Parasite SEO course. Because now Charles Float promotes the course, he talks about it um, a lot. He has a lot of followers that don't like him, that follow him just to see what he's doing so they can raise a bitch about it. Um, and then Parasite SEO became a thing that brought Zach Google's attention now. And those lists inside of his course were no doubt shared on Black Hat forums. So-called white hat people who were members of Black Hat forums got a hold of the list and then gave it to Google, and then Google runs around and does manual penalties. I mean, that's how that shit happens. Um, so you have to, if you're going to do Parasite SEO and you're going to leverage it to make a lot of money, make your own lists, don't use other people's lists, and then keep your list to yourself to protect the websites that you're leveraging. It's good for the people that that you're using, and it's good for you. So um, just keep all that in mind. Legal service is an organization schema type, though, right? No, it's not. It's a, it's a legal service schema. Legal service provided by organization would be right. But we can look at it. Legal service is an organization type schema. Legal service, a business that provides a legally oriented service. So you have this legal service. It's a local business organization that provides legal services. So we have address, area served, brand or organization. So, and then you can tie that into parent organization. Yeah, I don't really need that. Properties of place, uh, properties of thing. Yep, we can tie that into that. Member of, knows about, ethics policy, legal name, mm, parent organization. So let's look at legal service. Cool. All right. So, and then you have local business can be described as a provider of more of these services. So you set me up for this question. This is, I love being set up for questions. It's awesome because it makes me smarter. Local business, legal service. So instead of, as I said earlier, mistakenly, legal service is not the same as service. Legal service is a subcategory of local business. So the site wide or the location page would have legal service. Site wide, if your firm is only going to have one building ever, location page, if it's going to have multiple offices. So legal service would be the provider of the services. So you have legal service, you set it up just like a local business schema. And then you have your organization, which would probably, you could probably do brand or organization. I would default to organization because organization schema is the knowledge panel, but you can do brand too. It's not going to hurt it. And then provides, you can add services underneath this. So what I mean by underneath is break out my fancy tool here. Let's see. So let me do it. share. So how this would all look is local service. And then which would be the local business. And then underneath it, you would have actually, let me do the whole thing. Let me just do the whole thing. That way there's no confusion and no okey dokes. This web page is about this local or legal services. And it knows about legal keywords, blah, blah, blah. So you have that. It is part of this web page is part of this website. It is this website is published by this organization. And then you can do, you can add service, and you can list their services. So we'll say auto crash, motorcycle crash. Come on. For example, and then that's one schema right there. So that's how you leverage that. So you have this legal service, services, and that goes on to your location page. These are the URLs. The URLs for these are your service pages. Your service pages will be website or correction, web page is part of website published by organization. Um, and then offers service or main entity if you want to. I like offers better. it's up to you. But I prefer offers and then service. There is a service page you can use as well. Again, uh, schema is not, um, you have to do schema this particular way. It's designed the way it is to allow you some creativity and to tell your story of what your page is about. So you could use potentially service page schema. I believe they have that. Let's check. Yeah, it's just service. So, if you want to, you can just do service to indicate a page that provides a service. You just leave it at service and then do all the whole thing if you want together. But I prefer to use the web page for everything. Again, that's what I prefer to use. That's how I teach it. You decide how you want to handle that on your own. Uh, let's see. It's all right, Travis. Let's see. But that's a good question, Travis, and it's a good reminder. I mean, don't assume that I understand what the hell you guys are asking me. So it's good for me to look stuff up before I open my big fat mouth. And it's good for you guys to be specific on your questions. All righty. What else? Check the form again. No more questions on that. I hit refresh one time. Yep, we're good. No questions on the YouTube. Sweet. So I've got you all covered today. Hope you guys have a great week. And I will see you next week. Also, hit the subscribe button. That's the one that really matters. And then jump into the Discord for general blah, blah, blah. And with me, you can sign up at clintbutler.net. The Discord join links right there on the homepage. And a question popped in from Sean. Are you using Zista? I use it for entity schema. That portion, I use the rank tracker for my maps in there. I haven't messed around too much with the content generation stuff. I know that it's good. I just haven't messed around with it. And also, the guy who owns this is my business partner in Rank Gear. Does it cover maps? Covers map rankings. It's like the GeoGrid map tracker, rank trackers in there, Sean. Alrighty, sweet, cool. Oh, just so you guys know, as I close this out, SEO Rockstars. We're expecting to have. We want to have 22 speakers. I've signed up 21 so far. I'm waiting for one more, and then we will launch the sales page for that. It is going to be in November in Vegas. We will be competing. Well, some of the speakers that we wanted are speaking at Chiang Mai, which is right after Rockstars. But Chiang Mai is sold out for attendees. So if you didn't get to go into Chiang Mai, come check us out at Rockstars. And I'll have the sales pages and all that stuff done for you here very soon once we get all the speakers locked in. So that's what we're working on. So with that, finally, I will cut out and say thank you all for showing.